Alright, what's going on, guys? This is Divij Vaswani. Welcome back to another video. I appreciate every one of you guys for tuning in. Today we're going to be talking about something that's super important for you to be building your brand in 2021, and that is influencer marketing, right? If you guys don't know what that is, get with the times, because influencer marketing is the best way to get your product or service out into the marketplace this year. So I just kind of want to dive straight into it. But before we do that, make sure you guys smash that like button, subscribe, turn post notifications on. And yeah, let's get into the video. Guys, the best way to get your product into the market in 2021 is obviously through influencers, because influencers have the attention that brands like you are actually looking for, right? So the question becomes, how do you actually leverage influencers to really get your product out into the marketplace? But the question becomes, how do you actually find the right influencers? How do you actually get these, pieces of content out into the marketplace without spending too much time or energy or even money on the campaign? So the key and the answer to your question is basically finding the right agencies or management companies in terms of talent managers that can actually help you with these campaigns, right? Because a lot of times as a brand, you're going to be busy with so many different things, from vendor relationships, inventory issues, website issues. I'm going to kind of dive into sort of what a campaign looks like, how to actually run a campaign, sort of the best practices to actually make a campaign go live without, again, wasting too much time or energy on the entire process. First thing is, you want to understand who the ideal customer for your product is. So once you understand these few things, you can actually start to now go out and look for the right talent. So the next thing becomes sort of, what platform do you want to use? TikTok, Twitch, LinkedIn, YouTube, and Instagram. So if you guys are not on these 5 platforms, you better be getting on them ASAP. So really, there's a couple differences between each platform, right? TikTok definitely has a younger demographic. It's more of a brand awareness play. If you're going to be making videos or spending money on TikTok, it's more just to kind of get your product out into the market. Videos tend to go more viral on that platform. So in terms of actual conversions or hitting your CPA targets, it may not be the best platform, but it's definitely a good platform just to get the sort of the brand awareness and the name of your brand out there. Twitch is definitely going to be really great for really, finding high engaged influencers who are going to use your products in the live streams. Obviously, brands right now are still trying to figure out if that really works, but that's definitely more of a platform that I would recommend kind of just testing on initially. Now their next platform is LinkedIn. Obviously, this is a great place just for you to kind of post your products, etc. Right now, it's maybe not the best platform. It's not really a platform to have influencers on, but it's definitely a platform to be present on, which I think a lot of people, kind of forget about. And then you got the other two, right? YouTube and Instagram. These are sort of the best platforms where there's a proven track record of sort of enough case studies and actual brand campaigns that you can actually go and study and see what works, what doesn't work, right? So let's start off with YouTube. So YouTube's a really great platform because, obviously the watch time on YouTube is a lot longer, right? You get core audiences that are engaged in the influencer's content. This is a really great place to do sort of the 60 to 90 second integrations. Obviously, you want to have a link in description and a pinned comment and sort of, drive the traffic through there. The second thing is going to be Instagram swipe up stories. I always say if you're going to be promoting on Instagram, you want to do at least 2 to 3 frames per IG story set, and that's going to give you a little bit more engagement. And feed posts are also great. However, not really sure, depending on the product that you're selling, you may see sort of different results. But again, I think YouTube is the best platform to be using to actually sell products in 2021. So let's kind of run through what a YouTube campaign looks like, right? So for YouTube, it's basically really a few steps, right? The first step is obviously finding the right influencers. You want to sort of use different platforms. You could use Channel Crawler. Definitely go check that out. I'll put it down in the description below. Channel Crawler is a great way to sort of narrow down channels based on sort of your different specifications, whether it's category of channel, viewership, subscriber count, etc., country even. So it's definitely a great platform. This is going to be your first step, is finding the right channels. The next step is going to be actually contacting the influencers. If you didn't know this, on YouTube, if you go to their About section, typically the influencers will have their email there as well, so you can actually just contact them directly, right? That's the second step. Once you've contacted them, you have to sort of send them some sort of deliverables document or talking points that they can kind of review to make sure that it actually fits for their channel, right? So you want to make sure you have a small, maybe 3 or 4 page PDF that you can send to all the influencers for them to actually review, okay? Now, once they review it, they'll probably come back to you with some sort of pricing. There's a couple different things to consider here as a brand. You really have to understand what your CPA targets are. That's cost per acquisition. And then, of course, your CPM, which is cost per sort of 1,000 views, right? So just so you guys have some background, typically brands will be comfortable spending anywhere between $10 and $25 CPM, which means that, it's $10 per 1,000 views. So if you have 1 million views, it's going to be around $10,000 for those 1 million views. Up to, let's say 5 million views at 10 CPM, would be $50,000. If you're going to be spending up to 20 CPM, it'll be $100,000. So it really just depends sort of, what the average order value of your product is, sort of what the price range of the product is, your conversion rate, et cetera, et cetera. So as a brand, of course, you always want to start low with influencers. You always want to maybe start off at the 5 to 7 CPM range, and then maybe, sort of land at that 10 CPM target. So that's sort of where I would recommend for YouTube. Once you sort of, confirm the pricing, again, you would then have the influencer actually create the content. You would not pay them yet at this point, ideally. You want to sort of review the content, go through it with your team, and make sure that it's the right content and it's the right fit. And if there's any edits that you think need to be made, you can always go back to the influencer and sort of have them make certain edits. Then once they send the content back and everything looks good, that's when you can allow the influencer to actually take the integration live, right? So the key thing I'd recommend here with this is making sure that you actually have everything in writing, okay? I'd highly recommend actually having a contract with the influencer where it sort of tells them that, look, you can't really post this video, or actually you cannot post this video until it's been actually approved by our team. And that's going to sort of give you sort of control of the entire process. But also it'll always allow, it'll still allow the influencer the creative control that they need to make sure that the content is the right fit. But you have to sort of set some standards and some guidelines for sort of, what is allowed to go out. Again, this is your brand, and the influencer, when you're paying them, is really becoming a salesperson for your brand. So you want to make sure as the brand, you have the control there. The next thing to think about with the content that the influencer is actually creating is, as the brand, do you want to actually leverage the content that they're creating for your own paid media, right? So what that means is, do you want to use the content that they're now posting on their YouTube channel and Instagram story for your own Facebook ads, YouTube ads, Instagram ads? Now, the way to do that is, you can't just take their content and post it. You actually have to have usage rights or licensing rights for their content. Now, the best way to get that content for your own paid media at a rate that isn't crazy is actually just paying for it up front when you're actually paying the influencer for the media value. So what I mean by that is, when you're paying the influencer to actually post on Instagram, throw in some extra money to actually leverage that content for 3, 6, or even 12 months, or even in perpetuity for you to run for your own ads. This is going to save you a lot of money. Instead of having to go out and pay for content, you can just leverage the content that the influencer is actually using for their own media channels. And again, typically with the influencer, they're an influencer, so they have attention, and when you start to leverage these ads for your own paid media, people in the world are going to start to see that you're actually working with talent, right? So that's definitely a plus. Now, the key thing there is, you have to sort of understand that, the content is their product, right? As the influencer, their content is their product. So you have to actually pay for that. It's not going to come free. But again, I definitely think just paying for it when you're actually paying for the media value is going to save you guys a lot of money in the long run. So that's the next thing to think about. The next thing to think about is, you want the content to be, being pumped out constantly without you having to spend too much time talking to the influencer and actually dealing with the nitty-gritty, right? So what I recommend is actually, if you test the influencer for the first few times and you're seeing that it's working, put the influencer on a retainer. And there's some brands that do this really well, like Gymshark and Venom, where they're sort of paying the influencer almost a salary to just keep pumping out the content. Now, the reason this is great is it's going to give you content at all times. You don't have to be worrying about content coming in. The other thing, guys, is you have to keep an eye on the content to make sure that each influencer is not saturating their audience, right? Because a lot of times, if you keep putting ads at the same audience, it's going to get basically oversaturated, and you're not going to see as much return in terms of your investment. So make sure you guys are just keeping an eye on the actual performance of the ad to make sure, to maybe decide if you need to sort of reallocate those funds elsewhere. Maybe you have to negotiate the price down. That's going to be definitely something that you guys want to make sure you're monitoring. So, there's a lot of moving parts to an influencer campaign, and there's really, campaigns sort of, it just depends on the platform in terms of what works, right? Something that works on Instagram may not work on TikTok. Something that works on TikTok may not work on Instagram. So if you guys have any questions about influencer marketing, if you guys have any concerns about your campaigns, or if you just want advice, feel free to hit me up. Again, thank you guys so much for tuning in. This is Divij Vaswani with Divij Management. Make sure you guys go check out their website, divmanagement.com. And that's it for this video. I'll see you guys in the next one, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Peace.